Well, what's going on, everybody? Hope everybody is doing well. Welcome to the Looking for My Fit podcast. My name is Jamika. I am the host, and today, y'all, I'm freaking out just a little bit. We have Jenny Fisher, better known as Fit Fish Mom, in the
Woo!
building.
Great. You got that energy that just like I'm so excited to be here. I'm stoked right now. So
And
stoked.
welcome to the podcast, girl.
Thank you. Thank
So
you.
let me just fangirl for a second. Let me just go ahead and look at you. Seriously. So y'all, this is what y'all need to know. I don't even remember. I think when I started following you, I was following from like a video you put up. Like you are
Oh.
hilarious. Your videos like that you put up, especially like your TikTok stuff. I remember showing my husband the one where you were like, I don't see it. I don't see it. Where is it? Like in the pantry, and then you walk right in and you found it and then you ate it.
You mean everybody's husband is like, I don't see it. I'm like, I just gave you explicit directions on exactly where to find it. And he goes
Yeah.
in it for 2 seconds, does I don't see it. I'm like, that can I tell you, after I did that TikTok, the next morning, he was like, why'd you do that? I don't do that. I'm like, okay. The next morning he did the same thing. He was like, hey, where'd you put the protein? And I'm like, it's okay. I can't even, this is too funny. I can't
Yeah.
even right now.
Well, that was hilarious. I showed it to my husband because it was so relatable. So I'm sure that any woman who is married has seen that as like, that is my husband. That is
Mm,
what he does.
yeah,
But
yeah.
you have that. You are like a fit phenom. I love that. But I also love that you are a mom. Like you are finding ways to like fit it in somehow. Like you're
Same as
still
you. Yep.
thank you,
Same
girl.
as you. I mean, that's honestly, that's what drove me to you. I just, I kind of scroll through and I'll see people, and I swear I came across you, and there was something about you, you just connect through people for some reason. And I was like, this chick seems strong. She seems positive. She seems
Oh,
like she is just there to motivate anybody who's ready to listen. And
oh,
that's what drew me to you. And sure enough, that's what I got after following you. So I appreciate what you're putting out there too.
oh, thank you so much. I feel so like, like, oh my God. Like I know a lot of people who follow you.
Mhm.
And so because you have a lot, I love your platform. I love how you
Thank you.
use it. And so that's the thing that I love about it. I'm like, you're a mom, you're a wife, but you're also so transparent. And that's what I really love. Like
Thank
that
you.
realness, that's the stuff that speaks to people. Because we can easily show like all the good stuff all the time. People
Yeah.
say like show your highlights,
Yeah.
but you're so real. And I love that you share stuff. Like somebody pops in your DMs and says something crazy. Like, oh,
I have
so
no filter. I overshare sometimes. And part of it is because I feel like when I used to follow people, and I'd be like, man, I wonder what happens in their DMs. I wonder how this whole thing works. And so the fact that I have like an inside idea of what's going on, I'm like, these people are going to die if they hear what this dude just texted me or DM'd me. So honestly, it's part of it. It's just I have no filter. But the other part of it is when I share things with people, like, you're so authentic. I go, no, I'm just a really bad liar. If I was trying to put on airs or whatever, it would come through so bad, and they'd be like, "Oh my god, this girl's so fake." So
yeah.
I have no choice to be as real as I can be, or it would come across that it just wouldn't work for me.
Yeah, well, I love that you are so real and that you are a bad liar because you can't do it.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's so good. And so this is what happened. So when I started looking for my fit, we were just talking earlier, it was just about I think I was just looking for my fit in life, period. And there's so many things that fall under that umbrella. Life
Mm,
changes, when you get married, but then when you have kids, it really has like this shift.
yeah.
Like, how do I fit myself into this family? How do I do this?
Hmm.
And that was a tough struggle for me. But I think part of the struggle I had was that I didn't want to tell anybody I was struggling. I'm like, no, I'm strong. Like, I'm good. I got this. But inside, I was like, I suck. I am not a good mom. I'm so inadequate. And that was
Hmm.
just with a lot of stuff. And then I just, felt like this tug from God, like, you need to do something bigger. And so I was like, okay, I'm looking for my fit. And in saying that, I really didn't know what I was looking for or what I was doing.
Yeah.
But I just knew I wanted to somehow share my story with somebody that it could save them from that. Like, I can't save you from what you're going to go through, but I can prevent you from feeling like it's just you.
Yeah.
So that's where I was.
Powerful.
Yeah. So that was what I wanted to do. So anyway, I was telling you, I'm in a program, and it's all about like finding your purpose, digging deeper to figure out what that is and like who you're called to serve. And I was like, well, you know what, as I figure this out, in the meantime, I'm going to start this series on the podcast called Women Who Went For It.
Mm-hmm.
I lied to you not. I was like, I would love to have Jenny, Fit Fish Mom, on this podcast.
No way. Seriously?
But I was like you were one of the very first people who came to mind. And then I was just like, now again, I'm not like a clout chaser, like that. But my thought was, I was like, man, like, she has a lot of followers, and I don't even know if she'll see my DM, but also I don't know if she would want to come on my podcast. But you're definitely one of the people I thought about. Well, sometimes you have those feelings of wanting to shrink. So a lot of times I have to fight myself, because I'm like, just don't put anything out, just fall back, just shrink. You downplay yourself. I was having one of those days last week, and I was like, let me get in the shower and just pull myself together. I get out of the shower, and it said that you had commented on a post. And I was like, what? I mean, you should have seen my face. I was like, wait a minute.
I'm telling you, the universe, girl.
Girl, I'm telling you, I wish you could have seen it. I was like, wait, that might not be who I thought it was. And so then I go and I look, and it is you. And you had commented on my IG page looking for my fit. And you're like, girl, like, this solo episode resonated with me. You're doing great work, sis. And I was like,
it really did. Yeah, it really did. I listened to that thing. So a little backstory. I work a full-time sales job. I'm on the road. I think I told you 14 hours a week, basically. I cover all of South Carolina. And so I listen to podcasts like it is my job. And I'm like, Jamaica's got it. Hold on. She's got a new podcast. Let me listen to that. Let me see what she's doing over there. So I listened to a couple, and then, and some of them were you and your husband, some of them were other people. And I was like, these are good. These are good. And then you were like, I'm going to try one just by myself. I was like, all right, let's see. And just that energy you were giving out, and just the vulnerability you were giving, I was like, okay, I'm hooked now. Like, this is my show. I'm gonna listen to this every week. And I'm one of these people. You might be like this too, where if you feel strongly about complimenting somebody on something, you have to tell them. Like, it's hard to not compliment them. Yeah. So that was, and not only that, but I also know how hard it is to start something. And you kind of feel like you're on this island. You're like, I'm putting all of this creative energy out there. Is anybody seeing it? So I also wanted to make sure you knew that it was being valued. So yeah.
You just don't know. When I got out the shower, I was like, oh my God. One, because like I said, I love you so much because I follow you. And like, you're one of the, with the algorithm, sometimes you can start seeing the same people. I see you all the time. So like, you're there. Aww. Of how I follow you. So I was like, oh my gosh.
All up in the gram, yeah.
All up in the gram, girl. And so then I said, okay, Jamaica, like, shoot your shot. So I was like, I'm going to message her. I'm like, hey, would love to have you on the podcast if you'd be up for it. And then you message back like, oh girl, I would be honored. You don't even know. I was like, okay, you were like a huge God wink for me.
We must have been like fangirling together, because I was like, she wants me on her show. That's so cool. Oh my gosh. And so yeah, that it worked out. He had plans to bring us together. So
he absolutely did. So, I'm serious. I've been so excited. I'm like, oh my God, I cannot believe she's gonna be in here. So
that's a cool story.
Yeah, it is a good story. You were my God wink, and you don't even know. And so I do try to do what you do, is like to let people know, because you just don't know, how uplifting something you do, or the timing of things.
Yep.
Okay, so here's why I wanted you on here, is because you are doing all the things, and I love it. You are like, and by saying like you're doing all the things doesn't mean like with perfection again, because you're so transparent. But you are just a huge, you might not like influencer. You are a fit influencer. You're a mom, you're a wife, you have a new app coming out. You know, you have a whole workout program, and I'm gonna let you get to that. And I just want to hear about all of it. So I just want to start with on your profile on Instagram, it says accidental fit mom.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
your story from the beginning, girl. Look, I am all ears. The floor is yours.
All right, cool. Because I can talk, so that's good. All right, so I'll take you back to like when I was in college. I was on the dance team. My husband was playing football, and we both ended up being personal trainers. I actually worked for him. He was my manager, so we personal train. But I'm getting this 4-year degree. I have ambitions to do big things with that. So once we graduated college, we'd been dating for so long, we ended up getting married right away. Moved to Alabama. We both got sales jobs. And so that was it for me. That was my track. I was going to be in pharmaceutical sales, which I ended up finding out I hated it because it sucked every bit of creativity away. They wanted type A, super organized, super driven people. Well, I was driven, but I was super type B, creative. Let me do my own thing. Let me spin me up and let me go.
Yeah.
And pharmaceutical sales wasn't like that. So I ended up getting into other medical sales that spoke to me. Well, so I'm living my best life. I'm doing good things as a businesswoman, in my sales job. I've got 2 little tiny baby boys, and they're awesome. My husband's supportive, but I still had this passion for fitness. Like I've always trained myself. Like I feel like I'm my own personal trainer, and I use myself as a guinea pig. I tried different things out, and I realized I really like this style of training. And so a lot of my girlfriends just knew I had that passion. And then one week I had 3 different people, including my mom, ask me for fitness advice. They asked me, show me how to do this. Can you take me to the gym? What kind of nutrition should I be doing? All this stuff. And I'm like, man, everybody always asks me this stuff. Maybe I should go to social media and use it somehow, but I just don't know how. And one night it just hit me. I'm like, I'm gonna just start posting little 15-minute workouts so that people that don't have time to go to the gym or don't know what to do can get in a very effective workout really quickly.
Yeah.
Well, it was, I don't know, I was on Instagram maybe, and we're talking about what that sloppy progress.
Yeah.
Girl, I look back at some of those workouts and I'm like, I can barely see myself. It's so grainy. Like I'm not even in the lighting. It was awful, but I was consistent. I was
Yeah.
consistent with it. I was still working my full-time job, so I had to find ways to go film stuff without interfering in that, without interfering in my family. But I loved it because within a month or 3 months, I can't remember the time, I had 500 followers, which to me back then I was like, whoa, 500
Yeah.
people actually like this stuff. This is awesome. So I just kept going. I just kept going, and I was I'm very spiritual in the fact that I'm like I want the best for myself. I have big dreams, but I never put expectations on myself because I'm like, that's out of my hands. I can
Oh,
only do what I can do. I can only be consistent. I can only be myself. And then everything else is going to happen.
yeah.
That's how I feel. And some people are like, no, you got to do vision boards. You got to dream big. You got to go after it. And I'm like, I do, but I do it in a very, in a way that isn't going to completely throw me off balance. I just kind of go with it. But so through that, I ended up getting this quite large following, and I just went with it. And I wanted to monetize it somehow because everybody's monetizing social media. And I'm like, how
Yeah.
do I do this? And so my husband and I finally, around Christmas, we sat down and I'm like, I really, really want to do this. And I don't know how to do this without throwing my whole family off kilter. So we talked through it, and there was a huge process. I was actually going to do just a closed Facebook group, and
Mm.
that was going to be Get Salty. And God had bigger plans apparently for me because he's like, yeah, no, I'm not going to allow any of the videos that you've done to be downloaded onto Facebook. Like nothing is going to work for you. So you're going to have to find a plan B. I
Ooh,
could not get the first video to work on Facebook. And I looked at my husband and I'm like, well, babe, I'm going to have to do something else. And we're like,
girl.
he's like, let's just do the app. Let's do an app. And I'm like,
That
oh, okay.
that is God, girl. Like seriously, you
Not
can't do
one
that.
video.
That is nothing but God. That is
Yeah.
nothing but. So let me back up for a second. Let me ask this little background question. Your kids, how old?
Now they're 4 and 7.
Okay. Oh, so you
2
still
boys.
Oh, okay, so they're
Mhm.
still
Yeah.
smaller. So we're gonna come back to the app. Well, I'm gonna work our way back up there.
Okay.
How did you, in the midst of this, like, so you're working and driving all of these hours? Have you always driven all of the like this much? That's a lot.
Yeah, well, since I've been on social media, because I've so this March will be 3 years on social media as an influencer or whatever. But I yeah, I've basically covered all of South Carolina this whole time. Here's the cool part though, is when I first started blogging, I used to do these little videos. I would be in Beaufort, South Carolina. I would be in Clemson, South Carolina. I would be in all these cool cities. And so I would literally just stop where I would see a neat venue and
Yeah.
change into some workout clothes, go film for 15 minutes, put my work clothes back on and get to my next office. And
Love
so
it.
I had all this really cool footage, but yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
so your kids are still pretty small. Okay, so that's 4 and 7. I mean, I have 2 8-year-olds, but then my third is a little bit
Yeah.
older. It's like we
Yeah.
got spectrums going there. So okay, so now coming back to it, but we're gonna come back to the mom stuff in a little bit.
Okay.
With the app, so you're like, okay, I know I want to do this. What was your thought process when you were like, okay, God, so the videos are not gonna upload, so I'm gonna do we're gonna do an app. So what was your thought process as you got ready to create the app in the program?
um okay. So my husband, the reason we went with the Facebook thing is and you and I touched on this. I don't know if it was before we started recording, but I feel like as women, as moms, as business women, we put a lot on ourselves and we try to keep other people from feeling that stress.
Mhm.
So, and I might cry during this podcast. I'm gonna try to hold it together. But
You're free to
I
cry, girl.
I I had that drive where I was like, man, I've got to do. I feel this calling to do some kind of program to actually train people. And I kept thinking, well, I need to do it in a way that's not going to cost my family anything to invest. So my husband and I talked about it, and that's what I wanted. And he goes, well, let's do Facebook because that's free. He's like, and then if you get a big following, then you can do an app. And I'm like, okay, we'll do that. That sounds great. So I start filming, nothing's uploading. I'm getting super stressed, and an OTT company calls, which is over the top, which they basically take all of your creativity and they put it in a platform for you. So
Okay.
the app can be built, the website they do all of that stuff. They do the billing for me, they do the email subscription stuff for me. All of that stuff is managed for me. So
Oh, that's you.
this girl calls me. She's like, so this is what we do. And I think you would be perfect for this. And I'm like, I don't know how God gave you my phone number, but yes, like I
Oh my
yes, yes, and yes, yes, yes. But how much is it? And so she gives me the price, and I'm like, oh, oh, that's sticker
God.
shock. Yeah. So then my sales ability had to come out with my husband. I'm like, listen, babe, like, but I can't. And I told him, I said, with my full time job, being able to manage all of that is terrifying because I don't want to be the person that throws something up and just hopes it works. I want people to have a good experience. I want them to feel like it's a professional thing, that I'm not just swiping a credit card at my house. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And and that's what this company was going to give me. So we talked about it and I was like, I think I've been praying about this and I feel like this is the answer to all of my anxiety ridden issues. And thank God. And my husband he's one of those men who he's a true alpha man. Like he's set in his ways. He wants things the way he wants them. He's comfortable the way things are. And then he married somebody like me who's like, hey, so I'm gonna shake your whole world up.
World shut.
buckle
Boom.
buckle up, homeboy. So he's used to this with me, and his mom constantly is like, I don't know how he found you, but if he was with any other woman, she wouldn't be able to handle him. Like you have an ability to rein this man in and still get your way. So he knows that about me. He knows that if I have my heart set on something,
Yeah.
somehow it's going to happen. But with that now the problem is, okay, I've invested all this money and I have nothing yet. I'm building this whole thing, and then comes launch. I was launching like December 18th. And so that video you were talking about at the very beginning with those TikToks, I think I put out like 12 TikToks in about 3 days because my anxiety, I found out all of it is shown in like this creative just purge. Like
Yeah,
I
I
could
love
not.
it. Oh,
It was weird though. I sat down. I was like, oh, and then another TikTok idea would come to my head, and I'm like, this is my anxiety talking right now. This is how I'm dealing with my anxiety is by doing content, and it was a very weird realization. But I was nervous. Yeah, I was super nervous about the launch because I've never been an entrepreneur before. I've never had to do that, so I totally relate to people now when they're like, yeah, I'm about to launch a business. I'm like, I'm afraid for you because that's crazy scary.
oh, okay. Okay, we're gonna do this. So tell me, so let's talk more about Get Salty.
Okay.
So I get the app. What am I getting in the app?
All right, so they're literally building the app today. So through the website, which is the same thing, Get Salty it's kind of morphed into two things, which I kind of had that plan anyways. But I'm glad that it's coming to fruition in this way. But I've got people like me and you who we know how to work out,
Mhm.
but some people are just drawn to my style. So they're like, hey, I really just want to follow your workout. I know what I'm doing, but I'd love to just have access to all of your creative workouts. I'm like, okay, cool. There's so today there's about 80 different sessions. I call them training sessions, not workouts, because we're in there for a purpose, you know.
Easy.
Um, and so these sessions are either 12 minutes, 36 minutes, or 45 minutes. So it really depends on what kind of time you have and then what your mission is, because I've got 12-minute sessions that are either strength building, which is all heavy weights, low reps, and then we've got the HIIT sessions, which is lower lower weight, higher reps, cardio, HIIT, agility stuff, sport stuff. And then
Yeah.
we've got the low impact mobility stuff, which is a lot of yoga-ish moves, but balance, flexibility, just functional movement. And
Oh, that's
so, yeah, I've got those three components that I'm trying to bring together in these full sessions. And then I do a live session every week. But every week I release three brand new full sessions, and a full is either 36 minutes or 40 minutes.
oh wow.
So you have the people that just want to do all my workouts randomly, or you
Yeah.
have the person that's like, girl, I don't know what I'm doing. I need somebody to personal train me. Then in that way, it's a very cost effective personal training because it's not expensive at all. And then they can go in and do the three training sessions every single week, including a live session. And I have this, you know how you go to some gyms, and I get the feeling that your coaching style is a lot like mine, where you're like, hey guys, all right, this is what we're about to do.
Let's go.
Everybody spread out, let's go. Where you have the other ones, and I'm not knocking these people because they're
Yeah.
professionals. They've been trained to do this because it resonates with people. It just doesn't resonate with me. We're like, hey guys, let's go. We're gonna get your weights. Everybody spread out. We're gonna have a kick-ass time. And that's not me at all. I actually I'm like, ooh, I don't know about that. So my vibe is like, okay, it's you and me, girl. Like, I need you to just tap into yourself. What are you working on today? Think about that. Think about every movement that we're doing. So I constantly remind people of that, and that's what I'm hoping is coming through, and the feedback that I'm getting, that is what's coming through. So I'm happy about that.
I love that one because time is everything. And a lot of times, I'm not saying it's not real. It is. You can have that time crunch, but it's like you can make time for yourself. And if I'm giving you a 12-minute option, you
Mm-hmm.
mean you can absolutely find these few minutes to give yourself some time,
Yeah,
to
just
focus.
maximize that time. Yeah.
Yeah, like let's use this time wisely. But also, anybody who is trained with me would laugh to think that I would be like, okay, guys, I am like, hey, listen, we in
Yeah,
this
I can see that.
here.
I would
Let's
love to come take your class, by the way.
Girl, I
I
need
would
you.
love that.
First of all, freak out. I need you to come. We would
That
have
would be
a
fun.
good time. But it's for me, even in that, when you say like, "Hey, girl, like, look here, this is what we're
Yeah.
doing." That's like what I try to resonate on the floor because I'm like, where I train is primarily women. Like we have a
Mm-hmm.
few guys, but they're usually married to one of our members. And so it's moms or it's women who have careers who are like giving to other people all day long.
That's
So I'm
right.
like, when you step out here in front of me, you can't think of anything else. Like I'm about to give you the beat down of your life.
And you're going to thank me for it.
Yes, you thank me for it, but also you're gonna feel good. But also, like, you can't think about a grocery list or who has practice or what you were supposed to do when you got home for other people, because that's usually what we're filled with all day long. I'm like, this 45 minutes is me and you. This is about you. How can we empower you, push you through this? So
that's exactly it is me time. It is the time for you to just focus on yourself and the purpose for being there. So it can be very therapeutic when you turn it into that. I always look at it as it's that opportunity that you get to move and dedicate to yourself. It's not a chore. Like when you start thinking about fitness as a chore, you're failing. That's it, you're failing at that because it needs to fulfill you. And if you haven't found that, that probably means you haven't found the trainer or the community that you feel that in.
Yes. And the thing for me now, because my weight, even as a trainer, I have fluctuated so much, and just from like, I fall into the same things that other people fall in. I might not be getting enough sleep. I might not be eating enough. I mean, I've got all those things going on. But even through that, I still work out. But the reason I still work out is because I've grown a love for it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's so much deeper than, that's why I tell people, like, stop worrying about the scale. You know what I mean? Like, that could be a byproduct, but also, unless you're getting and taking like a body analysis, like a scan where I'm percentage of body fat and all that, that scale is not telling you any information that's going to be helpful to you. No. So move because it makes you feel good. Move because, you want to be able to play with your kids and not get out of breath. My biggest compliment to me was outside last summer, when we were allowed to be outside to play.
Yeah.
My son was out there racing their bikes and stuff in the cul-de-sac. And I came outside and he was like, I bet you can't beat my mom. And I was like, I bet you can't beat her. But I felt so pumped, the fact that he like that, like, I bet you can't beat my mom. I was like, what?
You heard
him. Get on his bike, and I did, and I won.
Awesome.
But to be able to do that,
what a role model you are, girl.
Girl, look, we got to set the tone, because I think a lot of times, you think about the fitness, you usually think about old school thinking. You think about the men and the stuff that they're doing, and I'm like, no, like, we're changing that. Like, your mama is a beast. Your mama gets up. She goes and works out every day. And I think that's just a good thing for them to see, not just for my girls, but for my son too. Like, should he decide to get married or whatever they decide to do, like, I need you to see, like,
this is the normal.
This is the girl. This is the norm. And so if people can just adapt that, like, I think a lot of times people fall off because the first thing you want to do is, I want to lose weight. And then when they're just working out to see the scale move, then they're like, oh, forget this. And I'm like, no, it's so many more benefits. You're going to sleep better.
That's right.
You're going to feel better. You're going to walk up steps without getting tired. You're going to be able to bring in all your groceries on one trip. Like I have a plethora of benefits for you.
Amen. So what my sister-in-law, when right before I was launching this, she was like, so, and keep in mind, she's done a lot of different programs and things. She was like, so what is your guarantee for people when they sign up? And I was like, what do you mean? She goes, like how many pounds are you guaranteeing they're going to lose in the first month or whatever? I was like, girl, do you know me? Like,
like, oh,
I was like, my guarantee is that I'm going to make you fall in love with movement. That's what I'm trying to get you to do. But like, to your point, if you do that, it's all a positive flywheel effect. Like, all of a sudden you're moving more, you're wanting to go to the gym. Then all of a sudden you're like, well, if I'm putting in the time, I need to start reaching for some healthier food options, and I want to sleep. That, like, it is. It just, for me anyways, that's exactly what happens for me.
It's a trickle effect. It is a trickle effect. So you're like, well, if I'm feeling this good and I'm kind of eating Snickers and stuff, what happens if I take it in and I'm eating something different? You mean, and fitting stuff in more in moderation versus just the norm of, like, I eat these things every day. What if I, start eating this in moderation and I don't have it every day? Then how will I feel in these workouts?
Yep.
So I love that. Now, anybody watching you. So again, you started out, I want people to hear the full story. You start out putting these videos out, you hit 500 followers. You were like, whoa, people like
big girl. I was a big deal. I'm like, I'm a celebrity.
So what I need you to know, if you're not familiar with Jenny, is now you have over 30,000 followers on Instagram. But I think somebody who would look at what you're doing, I think a lot of times people see that and they think like that's where you started. People want that and they want it instantly.
Oh
So I'm
yeah.
hoping people are listening to you started this 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm just putting up grainy videos for
Mm-hmm.
people to work out on. And I look back at those videos and go, oh my gosh, I can hardly even see myself on this video. But the more you do, the better you get, the more you learn. And then you are consistent. Look, girl, you put out content consistently.
Yeah.
And so you're putting out the content, people, and you're so authentic. So people are drawn to you. More people want to follow. And so you've made that, right? So for me, or anybody else on the outside looking in, you'd be like, it's a no-brainer that you would do some type of fitness program.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I would like to know, as you got ready to launch it, was there insecurity? Was there doubt? Were you scared? Like what was going through your mind as you're getting ready to do this and then do the actual launch?
Yeah. So I did pre-market research or whatever they want to call that, where I put up a couple surveys on my stories. I'm like, hey, would you guys want to see a paid program from me? And I think I got 100, or not 100, I got like 500 responses through my stories, where I only get between 2,000 and 3,000 people to view my stories that said yes. And I was like, okay, that's a good sign. So I just, I kept asking people, and what are your thoughts about this? And I'm thinking about this. And then of course, the Facebook thing, I was like, I can do that easy. So it made it easier to envision when I didn't have to think about all this capital to put down on it.
Yeah.
But when I actually had to pay the company to build everything for me, I'm like, oh, like, here you go. I could have just that could just be poof, totally gone. This is a pipe dream kind of thing. So the anxiety that I started to get was, what if the people that are viewing me, what if they only want the free content? Like, they've had results from my little things right here and they don't take the time to actually try it and see the difference with the coaching versus, because what you get on my Instagram and my YouTube is basically me just doing exercises. I'm not talking, it's to music, it's just here's an exercise, do it. On the app, you actually get me training with you. I am sweating and barely breathing through this session with you. I'm doing the session with you. And so I wanted people to trial that, but I'm like, what if people don't even want to trial it because they're like, well, I'm getting her for free anyways, who cares? So I had a lot of anxiety with that. And then I launched, and I want to say about a week or two into the launch, everything it went really, really well. Everything has exceeded my initial goals. But there was like 2 weeks in when we were sitting down, it was me and my husband, it was right before Christmas. And girl, I broke down. I had one of those good cries. You know what I'm talking about? Like one of them,
Yeah.
like I can't breathe
The
cries.
ugly cry.
And the ugly cry. My husband's looking at me like, what did I say? Like I think he just asked me a random question or something, and I just lost it. And it was one of those things where all of that was going well, but I still had this anxiety of, okay, I'm still having to maintain filming content for that and giving people, now they're paying me for a product. I have to deliver on this. That was a lot of pressure. I'm like, okay, it was all great when it was dreams. And I was like, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure I can do this. But now people are paying for it. I have to deliver because this is what I guaranteed them. And then I'm having to act like I don't have anxiety with my husband because I don't want to freak him out. I don't want
Yeah.
to make him feel a different way because this is my decision. This is my business. Why should I make him stressed out about it? And then I've got these 2 little boys that Christmas is coming up. I'm having to deal with all that. Oh, and we were in a quarantine because we had a babysitter come over that tested positive for COVID when she left. So for 2 weeks we were going. So I'm like in quarantine hell, having to deal with this, having to deal with the stress, all this stuff. And finally, I really had one of those conversations where I was like, listen, Jonathan, I know you didn't ask for this. I know that I'm putting a lot on you, but as your partner, I need you to understand this stuff. I need you to know at least this is my headspace. And just voicing that. And he's one of those, like, if he knows, he's there for me. If he doesn't know, then he's a man. He's unaware. He's doing his thing. So it was one of those moments where I was like, I have to ask for help. And it's not physical help. I need to ask for support. And that's what it was.
You don't even, I could cry listening to this because that vulnerability, I don't know, we might be, have you ever taken the Enneagram test?
No, I saw somebody post something about it, and I was like, I wanna do that. But I don't know much about it.
I feel like you might be my number, which is a number 8.
Okay.
It's just like somebody who is like, well, it's like they call that one the challenger. That's the number for that, the challenger. And it
Okay.
talks about like you fight for the underdog, you stand up for your people, you go for it, you're pretty assertive, but like asking for help is hard. So I'm like, inside, I'm like, that takes a lot of strength. And if there's somebody who doesn't mind asking for help, because everybody's not like this, they won't understand that it's hard to ask for help. And it's for me, it seems harder to ask my husband. And when I ask him, he always comes through.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, okay, I'm slightly falling apart and I don't want to say it, but I know you'll hold me up. So I love that you were strong enough, because it's not a weakness, and that's what I'm learning. It's
Yeah.
not a weakness to ask for help. That's a strength. It takes
Yeah.
strength to say, can you help me with this?
Yeah.
So I love that you were willing to ask for that help.
Yeah, a lot of that, and I actually since then I've been doing a lot of because there have been weeks where subscriptions all of a sudden drop, and that gives me panic too, because I'm like, am I doing something wrong? Like I have a hard time balancing this. Okay, I own a business, but I also don't want to ask my followers for anything. It's a weird balance that I'm having to do, because I've never had to ask them for anything before. But there are times where I'm like, you know what? Okay, God has a plan. He has carried me this far. Let me just give it to him, and let me trust him. So what I do is I just release the stress and listen. I'm like, just guide me. Is there a post that I need to do that might generate some new interest, things like that? And that's what I do, is I let it go, and I'm like, he's going to give me some kind of guidance. I just got to be aware enough to listen. So that's what
Yeah.
I've been doing, and it has helped a lot.
Yeah. It's like, he didn't bring me this far to just bring me this far.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
this isn't it. So, and so I have it up here if you are watching, but if you're listening, so her Instagram name is Fit Fish Mom. Like I said, just like it sounds, FITFISH Mom. And then the Instagram handle for the app is Get Salty by Jenny Fisher, but there's some underscores in there. So it's Get Salty underscore by underscore Jenny Fisher.
Yeah.
Where did Get Salty come from?
I'm one of 4 kids. I've got an older sister who's 9 years older than me, and she's my rock. Like, she is my homegirl. You would love my sister. And same back and forth. But so I'm driving on one of my long drives, headed to Sumter, South Carolina, and I've got this, and now I've decided, okay, it's gonna be. Oh no, I haven't decided it was Snap. It was still gonna be Facebook, but I wanted a cool, catchy name, right? And
Yeah.
Fit Fish app was not. That just was falling flat. So I'm talking to my sister. I'm like, hey girl, I need your help. You're real creative. Help me out. And we're going back and forth. And finally I was like, what about salt? Do you like salt? And she's like, it kind of sounds like a supplement company or a cooking website or something. And she was like, I like it. I like where you're going with it. And then I went, how about Get Salty? Because I live at the coast. Like, I'm all about, like, I surf and all that stuff. But I was like, what about Get Salty? Because you can get strong, get agile, get limber, and thrive. Salt is in there. And she was like, oh, I love it.
Like,
She's my cheerleader. She's like, I love that. You got to do that. You got to do that. I was like, okay, that's it. So yeah, that's where that came from. That, and I feel like, so I try to be, I try to also let people know that I'm a devout Christian without putting it in your face. Like, I don't want you to feel browbeaten into, you're not on my team if you're not the same way. I don't want anybody to feel like that, but I do want people to know those are where my roots are. And I feel like salt is just so, be salt and light. It's there, but you're also like grimy and gritty and strong, but also pure and essential at the same time.
Girl, look, that's a breakdown. That's a breakdown. I'm like, yes, girl, you took me to church and then took me back to we went to church and we came back. I'm gritty. I'm going beast. That's one of the things I think I'm like, let's get salty. Like, oh, you can
Yeah.
really, oh, you put a girl. Yes, I like that. Let's get salty, but also like, yeah, that's good stuff.
Thank you. Thank you.
So one more thing I want to bring up
Okay.
is part of my big, I feel like my call, it's not all, like I know, like I'm all about women's empowerment. My son, I'm like, you got my heart. And then the other men in my life, but like, I don't know, it's just something special about women looking out for each other, supporting each other, empowering each other. Like, I can't get enough of it. I feel this like special call to moms though, because I feel like there's just this. Okay, look, you and I talked before we got on here, and then we talked at the beginning. So if I'm repeating myself, y'all just listen again.
Go ahead.
But I feel like for moms, so like when you grow up, when I was growing up, you think of like all the things that you want to do. And not once when I was a child did I think, well, what happens when I have children? Like I never, factored that in. Like if I'm going to have children, then what happens to these dreams that I have?
Good point.
Then you have kids. And for me, I'm only speaking for myself. I found myself trying to live up to the stereotypical standard of being a mom who sacrificed it all. I'm here for my children. I'm here for my family. I have no time for myself. Who am I? I don't do anything. Like I was in that space and I was miserable. Like I can say that. Not miserable with my children, miserable just in like, who am I? Like I felt like I was always doing stuff for other people, but I was doing nothing for me. Now again, in silence. So I'm smiling, I'm posting the pictures, I'm doing all of this. But inside, I cannot tell you the number of times I remember in church one day I cried, like just cried because I was like, I just don't recognize myself anymore. You know what I mean? Like who was I before this happened? And then when I got the opportunity to and it wasn't easy, but I made like that change over. And then when I became a trainer, because I had been working in education, I was a teacher, started training full time, just the empowerment piece. And I'm like, no, I make space for myself. What I found was making space for me has made me a better everything.
Yes.
I am a better wife. I am a better mother. I am a better friend. And I've let go of the pressure of feeling like I have to be everything for everybody all the time. So like today, for example, I have to take my youngest to go because mama, I can't do hair. I haven't had hair in a long time for it. So I taking her, but my oldest has her last basketball game of the season. And I was like, and you know what? I did not feel any type of like, oh my God. I was just like, you know what? I do the best I can. So guess what? My oldest, her basketball game, they have an online app. I told her, I'm going to be cheering from the app. So just know I'm going to be watching and I'm going to take the other child to do shit. And I literally feel no guilt right now. And like that freedom of knowing that I don't have to be everything and that there is space for me. And I also feel like I'm showing my kids like something different. You know what I mean? Like that there's room for mom. So I said all of that to say part of what I love is that you are a mom and you are still like beast mode out here in the world making your mark. And so have you ever had any mom guilt? And if you have, like, what is the thing that helps you to like push through that?
I really don't suffer from that. You get the new moms that are like, I gotta drop my kid off at daycare for the first time and I'm freaking out. And I totally understand that. I'm not trying to downplay that. I have a personality where I was like skipping to the daycare the first day and I'm like, here's my child. I'm going to work to be with adults. Bye. Like I've been home for 3 months with a baby. So I have that personality where I am confident that I'm giving my kids everything that they want for nothing, that they know mama's going to be there if they need me. And because of that, I feel like I have a freedom. Again, everybody's personality is so different, but I have a freedom to be myself and to do my thing. But yeah, there is a definite balance there to make sure that you're fulfilling your kids, but you're not gypping yourself too. And I grew up with another, again, she was a mom of 4. She's a military mom. So she was a officer's wife. So wherever he was stationed, we had to pick up and go, and all 4 of us were born in different states. And she didn't really have a huge opportunity to plant her roots and her dreams. So my mom she was happy enough, it was a different generation back then, but she used to want to be an artist. She used to want to be own a seamstress shop. She had a lot of talent, and it just never came through because her life was devoted to us.
Yeah.
And I look at that, and she has a lot of regrets. Like, she'll admit her regrets, just like, oh yeah, I remember, I used to want to finish college, but it's no big deal. I'm
Yeah.
too old now. She does that kind of stuff, and I'm like, screw that. Like, I love my mom. I think she is an amazing woman, but I don't want to ever look back and be like, man,
You
I wish
could
I
have.
would have. Now I'm 50. If I were to launch my fitness app now, it'd be kind of weird. I should have done that when I was 38.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, I use my mom as an example of, yes, she's happy, she's fulfilled, but she did miss out on a lot of things because she put so much into her family. And
Yeah.
but then you got four successful kids out of it. And we
Yeah.
we constantly tell her too, we're like, Mom, you did more for this world, just because. And I'm not saying I'm a prize to the world, but all four of us collectively are very strong kids. We all contribute to society. I was like, so
Yeah.
you've done your part. You've done
Yeah.
your part. You've done good. But yeah, that's also something that I reflect on.
What you said though, that quality time, like with your kids, like
Hmm.
knowing what you're able to provide to them. Now, again, I have friends who are stay-at-home moms, and that's the thing that they wanted to do. So I would never. I would say stay-at-home moms that is the job right there. You talk about a
Girl,
job, that's a job. So I
I mean, we
always,
were all in quarantine for a while. We all got a taste of it.
woo, honey, look. So I'm
Mm.
always like, the kudos for me always go to stay-at-home moms and teachers, because I used to be one. So
Oh, I
I'm not, I don't want anybody to feel like I'm saying like that's a bad thing. It's not. My
no, it's
call is for
hard.
those. It's a very hard job. It is such a hard job.
Hmm.
But I think my call is more to those who feel like that's what they were supposed to do, not what they wanted to do, not what was on their heart. Like, I want to raise a family, I want to be home. I get that. And so if you're a stay-at-home mom, I don't want you to think I'm saying that. I'm saying there are some people who have dreams and have the aspirations, but they feel guilty about putting themselves first. And so I'm like, no, like, you can make the space for yourself, you know what I mean? But it just
Yeah.
takes creating those boundaries, but also realizing that you're worth it. But then also saying, like, when I go out and do these things for me, what I come back to at my house is so much different. Like, I feel like the relationship that I have with my kids is
Hmm.
so, it's just quality. Like, when I've been out and I've poured into myself and my cup is full, I listen, open up. Mama's pouring drinks for everybody. Something to pour into everybody. I'm happy to see you. I haven't seen you all day. I've been
That's
out
awesome.
doing some stuff for myself.
Yep,
Let
yep, yep.
me spend this quality time with you. So I think if that's something, if somebody's listening, like, man, I really got this thing on my heart, but I just don't,
Mhm.
how am I going to fit this in? You can do it, but it's just,
Yeah.
you have to create those boundaries and then realize, on the other side, if once you create those boundaries, there's just a beauty in it, and I love that my kids see me saying, like, my daughter, she told me the other day, she's like, Mom, do you realize, like, you started your podcast at the kitchen table, and now you like redone your closet to make your
So
own
cool.
studio, and I got these little sound
It
things.
looks beautiful.
Hey,
Yeah.
like, this is my closet in my
It's your
bathroom.
office, girl. It's your office.
Now it's my studio. So,
That's
so
awesome.
she's always like, and she's a teenager, she's always like, period. Yes, Ma, yes. She loves it. And I love that, she doesn't say anything about me on Instagram, but that she has the notifications turned on. So when I post something, she's always my first like. And so I just love that she's seeing
So
that,
cool.
that
Yes.
my son is seeing it, my other daughter is seeing it, to be like, you can have family and you can also have room for yourself.
Yep. Yep.
So I love that you make time for yourself and that you're
Thank
like,
you.
and I am building an app and
Yeah.
let's go. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you heard, but Low Country Parent, I'm the mother of the month for February. Hmm. Oh, now can I tell you? So this is funny. They reached out to me. They were like, "Hey, so you're going to be our mother of the month for February. If you're okay with that?" And I wanted to be like, "You realize that, like, I am kind of all over the place. I'm not your typical like Mount Pleasant Charleston mom, right?
Yeah.
But she, she was like, no, we look for moms that are able to balance life and still have their kids fulfilled and all that stuff. But I told my kids, I said, hey guys, I was chosen as Mother of the Month for magazine. So we get to have our picture taken, but in magazine, they were so excited. And I go, do you agree with that? That I should be Mother of the Month? And Roman, my 7-year-old, was like you should be mother of like forever. Like that you should just be, he was like, you're the best mom. And I was like, okay. So after that, I was like, this is the best award that I'm ever gonna get in life. Ever.
That is,
Ever.
well,
Isn't that
congratulations.
cool? Thanks.
That was so cool. Also, let me give another shout out to you before you go. Strong Magazine. You were over there the other day killing it. What was
Yeah, I
the
love that.
yeah, you went live and you were doing
Yeah.
a live workout. So I got on now, I'm not gonna lie to you. I was watching it like this. I was in the bed. I was like, yes, girl.
I was tackled.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Yes, girl. I see
Yes.
that. Yeah, so Strong Fitness Mag, I was one of their women to watch in quarantine had just happened when they asked me to do that. So I think that was April or May of last year. And after that, we're all in quarantine. And I reached out to them and I was like, hey, I can teach live for you. I'm not doing anything else. So let me know. And they came back and they were like, yeah, actually, we love that. That'd be great. Keep in mind, I taught maybe 4 classes a year at a gym as a sub, just because, just, to keep my certification, all that stuff. So then I'm starting to train online. And I was a personal trainer 15 years ago. And this is the first time that I actually started training again. And the feedback that I would get from people was, I'm still for Strong Fitness Magazine. I'm still the top viewed trainer on all their stuff. And I'm like, there is something. And that was some of the, honestly, that was some of the, I listening to him, right? I was like, tell me why I should be doing this. And I'm like, well, obviously, and no shade to the other trainers on there. I can't control the interactions. But for some reason, I'm doubling and tripling everybody else's views. There's something that I am doing that's connecting with people. So I definitely was listening to that. But yeah, so Strong had me doing that through quarantine, and I just continue doing that on my own, basically. That's a good community.
Girl, I follow a lot of fitness people, and like there are a lot of like you are in such amazing, so like you said, the fact that your numbers are like tripling other people, and you got these other, people over here who are also well known in the fitness community, like that is impressive, girl. But that's God's for real. When you like, and we have to stop downplaying that too. I'm a downplayer. Like I don't know. No, God has given you the ability to connect with people. People obviously connect to you, and like that's your gift. Like we all have gifts, and that's your gift. You have the ability to connect with people. You have a passion for fitness, and you're putting those things together.
My pastor always says that. He's like, there is some gift that you have. He goes, it might not be being up here talking to people. It might not be going and introducing yourself or going on missions, but there's some gift you have. And I do. I agree. I totally agree. There's something between teaching through fitness and through, just my life, basically. I take my life and I'm like, here it is. This is me, guys. So take it or leave it. Yeah.
Okay. Last thing, and then I'll let you know. Your funniest video. I have to go back to that. It's not the husband one. It's the one where you talk about you went out and it was like a young guy said something to you. Oh, I can't remember that one. I think that's my favorite.
Like that one. Okay.
And
you know how it is. Okay. So you know how it is when you were like 18 and some dude would holler at you and you'd be like, oh, it's so rude. Like, just don't even. I don't have time for that. And now, like, a young guy will do that to you and you act like you're like, that's so rude. Don't do that. And inside you're like, oh, still got it. Like, I still got it. And then you go home and tell your husband, you're like, you're never going to believe what happened. And he's like, yeah, that didn't happen. I'm like, no, it did. But yeah. Okay. So can I tell you about that one? I posted that to TikTok. And that opened up the world of TikTok to me. It is polarizing in that joint. I don't even look at the comments anymore. But so many people were like, oh, that's what was the word? That's not appropriate for a mom to talk about getting with a 18-year-old or whatever it was. I'm like, Okay, so we need an education here, fellas. If you think that being flattered is consent, we have a whole other discussion we need to
And
have right now. Like
girl, I don't
interesting,
even
guys.
go with TikTok for that reason. Like TikTok,
It's
like
Wild Wild West, girl.
it is. I had a friend who had a video that went viral on TikTok, and it
Uh-huh.
was her neighbor's cat would come over and nuzzle against her belly while she was pregnant. And that turned into a whole thing. I was like, it is a video of a
It
cat
makes no sense.
nuzzling her. The comments on the video, I was like, oh my God.
Yes.
Because I told my daughter, and then she was like, wait. She's like,
Wait,
I saw
what?
the video. Hold on. And so she goes back and she was like, see, I like this. And so she was like, the comments on here are wild. So I'm looking at it, I'm like, how did y'all make this video?
How did you jump from that?
Yeah, and so people, I mean, I totally, completely got where you were. And I also
Yeah.
need to realize that even in the joke, you were like, that is inappropriate.
Yes.
And then later you, oh yeah, I still got it. So I'm like, people, like, lighten up. Lighten up.
You know,
Lighten up.
move on. I honestly, I think that social media has given me a thick skin now because I'm just like, whatever, bro. Like,
You
moving
brushed up
on.
all, then you'll put it out there. You like, oh, so this guy came in my DMs and he said
They're bananas, man. They're bananas the way they feel they can treat people through this keyboard thing. But you know, it's that's the day and age we're in now.
yeah, well, you and then okay, I keep saying the last thing, but this is for real, the last thing before I let you. Your final post. Well, it might not be. You probably had one since then. I didn't check today. I'll be all up in your gram, but you were just talking about body image, like a very transparent post about just the realization of needing to treat yourself better. So I just want to say, if you had to leave some lasting words based off of that post, what would you say?
Are you talking about when I used to try to act like I was super super healthy and then just
Yeah.
completely overeat in the privacy of my own?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of us deal with this. We need to come across like we got everything together. Especially moms, man, the judgment from other moms is thick.
It
It's
can
thick.
be.
Yeah, and I think that when you really start talking to people, you start realizing that everybody's in the same boat, and and everybody's on the same journey in some fashion. And if we just start talking to each other like we're people, you realize you relate to somebody so much more. And the fact that I used to think that I had to look a certain way in front of people, I had to be perfect, I had to do things perfectly, otherwise people wouldn't think I was super healthy or whatever the case is. Um, but yeah, and a lot of it is through Instagram because I had all these conversations. I was like, man, I really, people are connecting to the same things that I've always gone through. And it was through the communication though, and understanding other people. But yeah, so if you're ever feeling like you're not worthy or you can't get your stuff together, or you keep falling off this imaginary track that people keep calling a track that you're supposed to be on, start talking to people, start reaching out to people like you and like me who you could trust, and open up to us and let us know if you need anything. But or open up to your friend, because God knows we're all going through it in some way.
Yes.
And the other thing is, if you're on the other side of it where you have a friend come to you sincerely and talk to you, do not try to fix her problems. She knows
Mm,
what you're going to say. She knows what you're going to tell her she needs to do. She's not asking you to be her coach. She just wants you to be there for her, because life is hard. You just need somebody to listen to you sometimes. But yeah, we just need to get out of our heads sometimes, and it's very, very hard.
yeah. So listen, y'all, for real, get out of your heads and also love your body. You're very body positive, and that's the other
Mm-hmm.
thing I love. It's like where you are. Don't think that you have to work out to get to a certain place before you can love your body. Like love it all and love it all right now. That doesn't mean that you can't have a desire to want to get healthier,
Yeah,
and to
yeah. And
have, but
we all have one body, right? So genetics is going to set you up a certain way. So don't fight the genetics, right? Go with the flow of the genetics that you're given, and also really, really fall in love with what you're able to do today. Okay. Maybe I am 300 pounds and it is difficult for me to walk up a flight of stairs without feeling winded. Okay. So, what I'm going to be thankful for is that my knees are still working so that I can take that next step. so that I
Yes.
can continue doing that. Be thankful for what you can do and not the limitations, and focusing on that, those opportunities, and just building upon those opportunities will get you to that next step. And that's what I mean by love yourself. You don't have to completely accept who you are and just never want to get better.
Yeah.
Accept who you are, love who you are as you're going towards those goals slowly.
Yes, yes, like, and love yourself the whole way, like you said, there's so many things to celebrate,
Mm-hmm.
and don't wait for, oh, when I get to this size, or, when I get to this number on the scale, and for real, y'all, if y'all don't throw that scale away, look, I had to lean this microphone. If y'all don't throw the scale away, throw it away now. Like, it's not there. That is not where your success is. I cannot say it enough. Don't put it there. Take some pictures. Take some measurements if you feel like you need numbers. That's what I need you to do. Take the picture, take the measurements, but then track, how are you feeling? You know what? Yet last week, I felt so winded walking up these stairs, but today, I didn't feel as winded. I
Yep.
felt like I could, last time I used to try to find the closest parking spot to the store. Now I don't mind parking in the back of the parking lot because
Yep.
I have the energy to walk. Those are the things that you can celebrate. The other stuff that you're looking for will be a byproduct of that. It will come, but don't
Absolutely.
feel like you're going to wait till you get to one thing, because I have worked for a number on the scale and then I got there and there was no party. I was like, wait a minute.
Girl, I mean, I've been to that. I've been to that one person party before, and it is sad. And
Yeah,
then
it's not party.
guess what, girl? I opened up that pantry. I was like, "Oh, party's over."
We made it. Give me the
Give me that
cupcakes.
cupcake. It's been staring at me all week. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so y'all, she is amazing. I need you to go follow her. So again, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm putting it back up. I feel so fancy. So thank you for letting me be fancy with you on this
It's
broadcast.
pretty fancy. I'm impressed.
So we got Fit Fish Mom, just like it said, FITFISH, like fish in the sea, mom. And then it goes perfect though, girl. So I know Fit Fish was like a play off your name, but get salty. You know what I'm saying? Get salty. You can, get saved and get grimy at the same time. we got get salty _by Jenny Fisher. And they can check it out. And if you go to her profile, which is Fit Fish Mom, she has the link to Get Salty by Jen Fisher. So you can go there, get all the details, go to her website and check her out. Girl, you have made my whole month. You were such a huge God wink. I'm such a huge fan of yours. And I am just honored that you would even want to come on the podcast. So thank you so, so much.
Well, it's mutual respect for sure. For sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
You are everything I thought you would be. See? You be like,
wow, girl.
her to be one way, but she was kind of different. No, you are everything in this. So thank you so, so, so much.
So much. And keep doing what you are doing. It is for a purpose, and I hear it.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. That comment that you sent, you were like, I've been listening to the podcast. I was like, what? So thank you. I appreciate you being obedient to that feeling of like, let me tell her. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right. If you're out here listening, go for it. Listen, fears, all of that, push through it, go for it. There's a calling out there for you. Don't be scared to step into it. And somebody told me recently, you have been cherry picked for your calling. So go ahead and step into it. All right, guys, we'll talk to you later. Bye.